Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Lawyer Talk, Take 5 with a Trusted Advisor, where I want to introduce you each week to the best attorneys that can help you, your family, your friends, loved ones with your legal needs. I am so excited about today's guest. I have my friend Kristina here with me. Kristina, thank you so much for being here. Please take a second to introduce yourself, your firm, and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Great. Well, this is exciting. My name is Kristina Kaeding, and I'm a sole proprietor here at my firm, which is Kaeding Law Office. And I primarily work in the area of bankruptcy. And that includes both Chapter 7 filings and Chapter 13 filings. There are other types of bankruptcy filings, but I work primarily in this area under those two chapters.
That's wonderful. And you're located in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Yep, I'm in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I'm also licensed. Council Bluffs is located right across the river from Omaha. So you'll find that a lot of attorneys who are licensed in a state that is that close to another state have licenses in that other one as well, and which I do. I'm licensed in both Iowa and Nebraska. I work primarily in the state of Iowa.
Yep, that totally makes sense. And yep, Council Bluffs, Omaha, right there next to each
Yeah.
other on the state line. So one of my favorite things to ask attorneys that I want to ask you, and you have a whole different approach to law too, so that might wrap into this your answer. But why did you choose law as a profession? Why did you become a lawyer?
And I'll give you an honest answer, Haley, on this one, because it really is not probably your typical answer. I was married and I had three very, very young children, all under the ages of, I think they were all under the ages of 3 at the time. And my husband was a school teacher. And I became aware very quickly that I would not only need to go out into the workforce, but I would need to have a decent job of some sort in order to provide for my family. And honestly, that should have probably occurred to me prior to having 3 children. But it was always something I always kind of wanted to do. If I look back at my young self, being an attorney was one of the things that I thought I would maybe want to do when I grew up. So I took it upon myself at that time to take the required, classes and the LSAT and all that fun stuff. And I got into Creighton University School of Law, and I graduated in 2003.
That's amazing. Just kind of empowering yourself. And 3 under 3, oh my goodness.
Yeah, honestly, I think that if I would have gone to law school as a 23-year-old or 24-year-old or the typical age of going to law school, I would not have done as well as I did. And I don't think I would have been equipped with the necessary life skills to get through it. I think it would have been a big waste of time, money, and energy for my 20-year-old self at the time. So in a way, being where I was in life gave me those necessary skills to get through those semi-brutal years. I mean, it can be. And the reason law school is brutal is not because of law school, it's because of your perceptions and your thoughts about what's going on in law school. So, but yeah, so that's the answer to why I became an attorney. And I'm glad I did.
That was amazing. You're definitely a go-getter. And that actually is a great segue into my next question, which is, what advice do you have for new professionals or specifically new lawyers just starting out, whether it's just coming out of law school and hanging their shingle, if you will. But what advice do you have for new lawyers?
Well, and that's kind of an interesting question because my oldest son is thinking about possibly going to law school. And when I say emphasize the word thinking, there's a lot of thought that should go into this process because you really want to examine the reasons why you want to be a lawyer. For instance, if you want to be a lawyer because you want to be a trial attorney and you want to go in and do a bunch of jury trials like you see on TV, know that that is very, very, very rare. Being a trial attorney in this day and age is something that, I mean, there are trial attorneys obviously out there, but it's hard to be a trial attorney when there aren't any trials. And what I mean by that is there's so many cases that settle, the majority of cases settle, that if you think you're going to be getting a bunch of courtroom experience and that's why you want to become an attorney, then I would speak to, I personally am not a trial attorney. I mean, I have done trials and I will still do trials in the future, but that's not, I wouldn't even describe myself as a trial attorney because I'm not. That's very rare to actually go in and have a big jury trial. So if that's the reason why you want to be an attorney, then know that it's possible that you would get out of law school and find that you weren't doing many trials or any trials at all, maybe that first year. So I would look into that. I would also examine the reasons why you want to be an attorney. And I know that when I was growing up, it was always, oh, doctor or lawyer. Those are the two jobs that you will make a lot of money at. And I'm here to tell you, no, not necessarily. Now, yes, there are attorneys that make a lot of money. But there are also a lot of attorneys that will tell you that the days of making that type of money are kind of long over. And I mean, I'm not saying that attorneys don't make a lot of money, but those that do really have worked to where they're getting to now. But with the insurance corporations and there's just a lot of different factors in this day and age that have lessened that opportunity for lawyers. Now, when I say that, I mean, everyone's definition of making a lot of money is going to be very different. So I highly recommend that you speak to the attorneys in that paying your student loans. I actually have represented many people who are still paying their student loans in their 60s and their 70s. Some of them, by the way, are attorneys too. So I would definitely not go to law school if the reason you're going is you want to become rich. That is not a reason to go to law school. I would recommend, and this is what I ended up doing, and it wasn't necessarily my choice, is that I found out very quickly that these jobs, supposedly that I thought were just going to be all open and available to me upon my graduation, that I'd be coming off with my diploma and I would just waltz into some law firm. Ta-da, here I am. That does not happen either. I'm here to let you know that those jobs are very far and few between. And I'm not saying that those are the jobs that you want. I know a lot of people that got those jobs who no longer are even attorneys. They suffered burnout that first year or first several months, and they don't even want anything to do with the practice of law anymore. So my suggestion is for those of you that really want to be a trial attorney or want courtroom experience, is hang your own shingle out. That's the way to, in my opinion, in Council Bluffs, Iowa anyway, that's a really good way to get that type of trial practice, is by going out on your own and you get on these court appointment lists and you represent indigent defendants who obviously can't afford an attorney. And so you're paid through the state. You get on these lists and you can do juvenile and criminal, and there's all sorts of really different options, appeals, all sorts of different options available to you. And that's a really quick way to get experience. But that's also very difficult to hang your own shingle and know that, you know, you're not going to make a lot of money or any money that first few months or even up to maybe a year or more at doing that. So if you can let that fear in life that holds you back, if you can conquer that, then I say go for it. But if you're going to have these preconceived notions of what an attorney is, I highly recommend that you do a little bit more inquiry and examination into those questions that you may have and get the answers, and ask the hard questions. Ask the attorneys, hey, would you do this again? And you may be surprised at some of their answers.
What great advice, and how interesting. I love that, you know, kind of seeking out those experiences that can give you an idea of what your, you know, profession or your career could look like, so that you know right away which direction you might want to take and what's going to be the most fulfilling for you. So that's great advice. Thanks for sharing, Kristina. And Thank you
Yes.
so much for your time being here with us on Lawyer Talk today. And everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Thank you. It was great.